Can I just confess to one thing? I hold my hand up. I'm not a technologist, so I do apologise. I mean, I've been listening with fascination to the previous presentations, but it's hieroglyphics to me. I have to say it's fascinating stuff. Can I also say the picture you painted just at the end, James, about kind of just getting information from someone's mobile phone. I was sat in a restaurant the other night, and oh, no, I'll get back to that one. I sat in a restaurant the other night, and there was two parents with their 9-year-old girl, and they were having this very kind of heavy conversation about her accidentally texting someone. It wasn't their friend, it was a wrong number, and this person had texted back. And for a 9-year-old sitting on a train or a bus, and someone else being able to actually access their personal information and so forth through their mobile phone, I think that's a bit terrifying, really. But anyway, I mean, the purpose of this picture is just to remind me and you lot that lunch is next, so I'm going to be very quick. I'm not going to hold you up. Believe me, I know some of the delegates up here are already working out how are they going to get to the front of the queue. I knew when I took this picture about 3 years ago at a conference that it would come in handy, and I've used it today, so thanks very much, ladies and gentlemen. But the chili prawns, I was going to do something about chili prawns, and I thought, crikey, no, I could be setting myself up for a lynching if I build you up with expectations of chili prawns out there, and there isn't any. There could be a riot. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about personalization of learning, and really I'm not a technologist, but I'm a user of technology. I don't even like technology, so I was a bit surprised when Tim and David invited me to come and speak today to this conference. I am a user of technology. The only time I think about technology is when it doesn't work, and then I have to ask, one of you guys to come and help me. And so, future of technology for me is going to be something that's just does what it's supposed to do when I want it to, and it's completely invisible. We don't think about technology. Well, you guys do, but I don't. I don't think about it. But going back to personalization, what I'm interested in is its applications in teaching and learning. Oh, I just spotted Jonathan from Royal College of Art there. So have one of your students contact me. We can do a photographic record of different conferences by picturing the catering that comes up. But anyway, having a look at Stephen Crown, Chief Exec of Vector, and Rob Engelbright, who's a big potato at Vector, has just left actually, but he knows our work, so I'm not offended. Not much, anyway. But Stephen Crown, CEO, he's talking about technology premium in harnessing technology. Are you all aware of the harnessing technology agenda? Yeah, well, you should be. If you're not, then go and read it. It's a really good document. And Vector produced a review of this last year, and it's just been published, I believe. And he talks about when deployed efficiently and creatively, technology can make a real difference in education and skills. It's about innovation, motivation, and I've got personal experience of that. When I started using virtual learning environments 10 or so years ago, we were on version 1 of WebCT then. I mean, I was creating stuff online, and my students were working on it over the Christmas holidays and so forth, and that raised my retention and achievement rates straight away because they hadn't disengaged by going away on holiday, like most of us do. When we leave a place of learning, we forget about it. It's not our major concern in the week. He says it opens up a world of resources and materials for teachers, trainers, tutors and learners. And that's true. But I have to say, if there's one criticism I would make of this report, and it doesn't talk about communication, and I think social networking, which previous speakers have been alluding to, is probably the big revolution. The Web 2 technology is no longer just simply Web 1 technology, it's Web 2 technology. So communication is really critical if we're going to utilize those sort of skills in teaching and learning. And learning will become personalised. And I think, again, going back to the previous presentations, we're seeing some of how that's going to happen. We're seeing the future. And here's a quick look at Imperial College 100 years ago. Actually, you know, that's a stark contrast, or is it? There is a story someone told me about a surgeon 100 years ago. If they were to be transported to today and go into a hospital, they would be completely at odds. They wouldn't know what was happening, where they were. If they transported a teacher from 100 years ago into today's education setting, I think they could probably feel quite comfortable and at home and begin teaching. So although we think things have changed, they haven't, and the harnessing technology actually, I think, sort of illustrates that quite well. We're bringing in the technology, but we're not actually utilising it and using it in the best way. Oh, incidentally, this picture is reminiscent. Someone pointed out at a conference a couple of years ago that it's from, oh, I know, in fact, actually, it was Will Pickford, the RSC manager, sort of says this picture comes from the church. So 100 years ago, the culture of teaching and learning in sort of Victorian Edwardian Britain actually comes from the church. There's the pulpit and so on, rather like today, actually. Personalisation, the individual learner, you know, kind of our class size is 25, 30 students. If I'm going to see a student on a personal basis, I mean, I get to see them 15, 20 minutes a term if I'm lucky. And with paper-based system, I'm looking up their file 15 minutes before I see them. And then I remember, oh, I was supposed to be doing this. And they're doing the same thing. They're remembering all the things they promised to do for me. So, Grania Canole, if you've seen her or heard of her, she's doing wonderful stuff. She says the challenge for us now is how do we design learning activities which make effective use of tools and pedagogy. That's the main challenge we've got. She goes on, she identifies where the learning culture is changing. So we're no longer looking at individual learning, it's more social and the social networking, the learning communities that we utilise. Information is no longer, or accessing information is no longer the issue. Actually, are you on wireless here? Is there anyone online? Yeah? No? Well, yeah, it's a challenge for you. Find out who died on this date. There is someone famous who died on this date some time ago in the past. See if you can find that information out for me. See how quickly you can do it. Also, so it's more about communication now. And how do we process the information? It's not accessing it, like they refer to Wikipedia. But Wikipedia, we know, is not, sometimes it's not genuine information. But, and sometimes we find out, or journalists find out to their costs when they say about someone who's just died being a football supporter of Scunthorpe United, and that's been inserted by one of us just half an hour before. So communication and or information skills is much more of an issue now. Passive, it's no longer, the expectation is no longer about passive learning, it's much more about interactivity. And it's no longer learning when the institution says we learn, it's the expectation is we learn when we want to learn, utilising the tools and the technology that's available to us. John over there from TechDisc, his colleague Alistair McNaught said that many of our students now carry around on them much more technology than they find when they walk into the college or the place, the classroom where they're going to be doing their education. So, this is what we see as personalisation. It's placing the learner at the centre, and it's how they're able to seamlessly access the tools and technology around them. And from that, I happen to be very lucky to work at an organisation. As I say, I'm a user, but I'm surrounded by expertise, people that can sort of make these sort of things happen. And we're very lucky. So we've created a personalisation model. It's a framework which usually utilises the open source technology available. So we have, for example, Moodle as our virtual learning environment. We've developed, or my colleague James Ballard has developed a personalised learning plan. And that is fantastic. Has anyone seen it here? It's just absolutely fantastic. When you log on, you've got your personal learning plan in the Moodle, in the virtual learning environment. So it's no longer a case of once a term I look up my notes to see what's going on. It's every day when I log on to Moodle, my learning plan's there. And I'm keeping track of it, my tutor's keeping track of it. Ashley Garner from Redbridge College, I know he won't thank me for this, he sat over there. Can you put your hand up, Ashley? Can I just say that they commissioned this work, the development work, with us. And Tim Marshall, who was going to be speaking, commissioned a video which Janet made for the AOC conference. And we went to Redbridge College, and I'm sitting around waiting to be filmed. And I went up to students in the Learning Resource Centre, just, picked on anyone and said, can you show me, have you got a course online? And they pulled it up. And I said, have you got a personal learning plan? Pulled it up. They were completely conversant with this stuff. And I thought that was really impressive, because so many times we say, yeah, we've got the technology installed, but you kind of go and ask staff and students and it's not being used. You'll notice also Open University, Niall Slater at the Open University was really interested that we'd actually split the e-portfolio. Because really we're now sort of developing this bit as an assessment manager. You'll notice that also the framework is defined really by ownership. And ownership is kind of like the learner is going to be the one in control of this personal showcase. And we choose Mahara for that. We did a procurement and looked at all the various portfolios out there. Are you aware of Mahara? No, we'll have a look at it. It's really good, very good. This is an incident of an individual learning plan. Now that student can, and the tutor can bring up initial assessments. They can have monthly attendance averages and all sorts of information. What's nice is that it's them that puts down what their goals are, what the barriers to learning are, what they want to achieve. That's obviously negotiated, but it's very empowering. And this is about personalisation, the concept of personalisation. It's not customising resources, it's much more managing the learning opportunities that I have. This is an example of the Mahara learning space, the personal learning space. I forgot to include a picture of the assessment manager. I'm running out of time, as usual. But if you want to have a look at what this looks like in reality, the future of personalisation is here now, is happening now. We've just been commissioned by Lewisham College, who have brought the model. And this is, we kind of, it's not been designed, we've kind of taken this from the BBC website, just to give you an idea of what a student would logging on to the system would come up with. And if you see, they can drill down to levels, course assignments that need doing, or they've got library books overdue that they need to hand in, There's their individual learning plan, attendance records and all sorts of things. That is powerful stuff, and it's integrating all those tools and the technology that I had shown you on a previous slide, and that's now happening. And we're getting much more interest from other colleges. I stupidly haven't brought any cards with me, but I'm around at lunchtime if anyone wants to come and talk to me. But please, if you want to know more about this stuff, then just contact me on this email address. Thanks very much. I'm not going to hold you back from lunch any longer. Sorry? Malcolm Sargent. Oh. Well, I didn't know that one. I thought... Francis of Assisi. Anyone else? Ronnie Barker. But I was thinking of someone completely different. Woody Guthrie, good God, there's a whole load of them, isn't it? This is an important day. Anyway, thank you very much. Cheers.